Good morning, good morning. How are you guys doing today? Glad you can join me on this morning. Beautiful morning. I'm looking at a chart here of the US dollar Japanese yen. Yes, indeed. It is the monthly and weekly chart of the US dollar Japanese yen. And we also got the CFTC data on the left-hand side. So you can take a look there of the positions held by the big institutions. Today I wanted to spend some time looking at the yen pairs. I think that there is something very interesting taking place on the yen pairs. So I wanted to just start the session off by looking at the US dollar Japanese yen and looking at the situation with respect to the positions held by the institutions. So the first thing I see when I look at the positions here is on the long side, they previously reached 222,000, which was pretty aggressive for long positions. And so at that same time, price had contacted an area of supply that we had mapped out. And so we knew with a high degree of certainty that there was likely going to be some profit taking, which was going to fuel a move to the downside. And so we got that move to the downside. We called that perfectly. And it dropped right into our demand zone. And that's where we saw the price reverse from, and it started heading upwards. Now we're back at that supply area once again. And so as we are contacting supply, we look at the positions held by the institutions. And what do we see? That they've been increasing them once again. So the initial sell-off took positions from 222,000 down to 160,000, right? Then we see price rallying, and we see them increasing their positions, 173, 184, and the last set of data shows us that they were profit taking once again. And you can see that when you take a look at the weekly chart. You can see that dip in price right here, okay? Right there, the profit taking on those positions. So let's zoom out. That's the situation with respect to US dollar Japanese yen and the positions held by the big institutions. So let's take a look at a larger time frame chart, 6-month chart. Looking at larger time frame charts is super important because they play a role in how price moves over a longer period of time. But if you understand what's happening over a longer period of time, then you can dwindle it down to lower time frames and discover where price is going. For instance, we recently had price contact this area back here. I shouldn't say recently. When I say recently, I'm talking about how many bars there are on the chart. But it actually took place in 2016 and then once again in 2020. And but this was an area of demand, institutional demand, located on a 6-month chart. And what do you see take place? Price dropped into it, and it eventually rallied up very aggressively. So where are we contacting right now? We're contacting an area of supply that had previously been tested here. Now, question is this area going to be removed and price head higher, or is it going to hold and price drop? Well, when you look at the CFTC data, it would suggest that price is going to drop. Why? Again, because we've reached max size or close to max size on long positions. So typically when they do that, they don't have any other choice but to take profits on their positions, which usually causes price to move to the downside. So with that said, we still have a supply area in play. Let's take a look, though, at the dynamics of price when we look at the US dollar Japanese yen. The Aussie Japanese yen, I should say. Now take a look. As you can see, we have a supply area that was contacted. But what else do you see here? You see a big, tall, strong green candle coming up, right? Right. And it at this time looks like it's breaking through an area of supply. So what does that tell us? Well, that tells us on the higher time frame charts, there's a very good chance this will be broken and price will continue higher. Now, if I take a look at the chart here and examine the supply and demand, there's nothing above here to stop price from heading much higher. So what does that tell us? Well, that tells us that the Aussie is likely going to be stronger, okay? Just by looking at this chart, the Aussie is likely going to be stronger, or the yen is going to be very weak, okay? Which means US dollar, Japanese yen would have to go higher. Or it could just mean that the Aussie over time is going to be stronger, a lot stronger than the yen. The yen can become strong, but if the Aussie is stronger over a longer period of time, we'll see price heading higher. This chart is suggesting that over the longer period of time, the Aussie is going to be stronger, okay? Let's go down to CAD yen. What do we see here? CAD yen on the 6-month time frame. We have price contacting a supply area. Okay, so it's very similar to the US dollar, Japanese yen, where we have supply. We had a long trade signal on this one. It hit our target. It worked out beautifully. So we have supply here. Not yet has there been a penetration of supply. Could it go higher? Could it go lower? Let's take a look at a lower time frame chart and see if there's any indication. Let's go down to a monthly time frame. Here we have a monthly time frame, and as you can see, price had contacted supply here. Here's the supply area that we had drawn. Price contacted the supply, and instead of seeing a massive decline from that area, what we saw instead is price creeping up higher, 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 higher. So much so that right at the highs here, we had a little penetration of the top portion of that supply. Good sign? I'd say so. What does that tell me? It tells me that the Canadian dollar is likely going to get stronger. And that is actually in line with something that I was pointing out. Let me show you. That was actually, it's very much in line with something that we were pointing out on the latest CFTC video that we posted on our YouTube channel. If you haven't seen it, you must see it. All right. You got to see it. So we were pointing out how on the US CAD, we were looking at positions, and look, the maximum size for non-commercial is 137,000. Okay. And we've reached as high as 128,000 just recently. So what does that tell us? That tells us that logically, they're going to have to start taking profits on those long positions. And when they do, it's going to fuel a move to the downside. Guess what happens when the US CAD drops? That means the Canadian dollar gets stronger. Are we seeing evidence of that, of the Canadian dollar getting stronger here on the Japanese yen, on the CAD yen chart? We are. So there's a very good, very strong likelihood that the Canadian. So there's a very good, very strong likelihood that the Canadian dollar is going to get stronger, and we're going to see price continue upwards on this chart. All right, let's look at the euro Japanese yen now. Let's go over to that one. We had long signals on this one. Our targets were hit all the way on the way up. Our highest target was at 164. This one worked out just to perfection. It's unbelievable just how well it worked out. A long-term trade, big profit potential on that one. Anyways, so we have a supply area that was recently removed. If you take a look here, recently removed. Opening up the floodgates for a move higher. Ah, yes, but there is a supply being contacted right now. Yes, but that supply was already contacted previously. So it's more likely than not going to be taken out. So what does that tell me? Just by looking at the euro yen chart, it tells me that we are likely going to see a strong euro, because it just removed supply. It's pushing itself higher and higher and higher. So likely we're going to be getting a strong euro, or a stronger euro than than the yen. Okay, a stronger euro than the yen. Yen can be just as strong. It could be as strong. It could be, what should I say? US dollar, Japanese yen can drop, and the yen can be strong just like the euro, but this chart suggests that over time the euro will be stronger. Okay, let's go over to the pound yen. And pound yen has no supply in play right now because supply has already been removed back here. Okay, so we had monthly targets on this one too. A 6-month target just got hit not too long ago. Incredible, our targets. We just removed supply. This opens up the floodgate higher, and you can see exactly what took place. Price indeed moved higher. And so if we zoom out just a little bit more, what do we see? We have room until the next area of supply is contacted. So what is this telling me? It's telling me that the pound is likely going to be stronger. Okay? Pound is likely going to be stronger. Let's look at retail sentiment right now and see what's going on. Let's look at US dollar Japanese yen. Right now, retail are mostly short, 67%. Not good, as price creeps up higher. Pound yen, mostly short, 68%, as price creeps up higher. Euro yen, 80% short, as price creeps up higher. Aussie yen, 82% short, as price creeps up higher. So when you look at retail sentiment, it looks like most retail traders are short the yen pairs, which is not good because we've been seeing bullish pressure. And I suspect what's likely going to happen is we're going to see a continuation of pressure to the upside until retail sentiment reaches maximum, okay? Meaning retail positions cannot put on any more short positions. At that point, we're going to see a slight decline in price, and then eventually over time, a continuation of price to the upside. Okay. British pound, let's take a look at the higher time frame charts here. There we go. Okay. So we had a 6-month target here, which means this target was in place for a very long time, from much lower, aiming to reach price at this point, 200. We're about to hit an area of supply here, okay, on the higher time frame. Monthly chart, clear skies. 6-month chart, soon we'll be hitting some supply, but it still has room to head even higher. Looking at the euro Japanese yen, let's bring that sucker up. Okay, again, just breaking through supply, opening up the floodgates for a move even higher. Look at that, okay? And room for price to head even higher. All right, folks, so yeah, that looks pretty good, I'd say, for the euro yens. And you can see how, just looking at the yen pairs, how it gives us an indication of the strength of the currencies, or weakness, in this case, strength. And but we got to be careful, I think, with that pound yen, because it seems to be coming very close to hitting that supply. So we'll have to see what happens when that makes contact with that supply. But everything else on the charts that we're looking at, Aussie yen, euro yen, you know, the higher time frame charts are looking pretty good. All right, Aussie yen, like I said, was breaking through supply. Same with the euro yen. So very good signs for the currencies. Aussie, euro, pound, CAD to be stronger over time. All right, folks, that's it. I'll let you go. Hope you enjoyed this session. And tonight is the final night where you can get your submissions in for the scholarship at the school. So get them in tonight, get them in soon. We've been accepting so many requests, it's crazy, but we're reviewing them. We're gonna select a winner on Father's Day. And yeah, make sure you sign up for the newsletter because there will be more scholarship opportunities in the future, and we'd like to get you into that. All right? Thanks so much for all your interest, and we'll talk to you guys later. Take care, everybody.